Hello, my friend. It is so good to have you here today. Welcome back to HitoCast. Find a comfortable place to sit. Have you ever been told that something was not for you? That you were too small, too quiet, too late to do the thing your heart wanted? Most of us hear a sentence like that, at least once in our lives. Tonight, we walk through the life of a boy who heard those words. He was 11 years old. The doctor said that the boy's body had stopped growing. Without treatment, he might never grow much taller. 1.4 meters, 4 feet 7 inches. For a child with a footballer's dream, a door had slammed shut. The family could not afford the medicine. The future suddenly seemed smaller than the dream. Yet later, that boy went on to score more than 900 goals. More than Pelé, more than Maradona. A story of needles and paper napkins, of a ball that sailed into a dark sky one quiet night. So come with me, my friend. Let us travel to a dusty street in Rosario. Let us follow a small boy, a boy the world would soon call Little Maradona. This is the story of Lionel Messi. Lionel Andrés Messi was born on the 24th of June, 1987. The place was Rosario, the third largest city in Argentina. His father, Jorge, was a man of long hours and strong hands. He worked in a steel factory. His mother, Celia, cleaned other people's houses to bring extra money home. They were not rich, but their house was full of warmth, full of children, and full of the sound of a ball bouncing against a wall. Lionel was the third of 4 children. From the moment he could walk, he chased a ball. His father said something beautiful about him once. He said the ball was tied to his son's feet by an invisible string. Wherever Lionel went, the ball followed. At 5, he joined a small club called Grandoli. His father was the coach. At 8, he moved to a bigger academy, Newell's Old Boys. He was the smallest boy on the field, always. The other boys gave him a name, La Pulga, the flea. But the flea had a secret. When the ball was at his feet, the game became simple. The bigger boys could not catch him. The faster boys could not stop him. Something inside this small boy already knew what it was going to do, even if no one else could see it yet. Newell's youth team won 100 matches in a row, with Lionel in the lineup. The coaches in Rosario called that group La Máquina del 87, the Machine of 87. It was a name that turned out to be a prophecy, because the boy at the heart of that machine, he was about to become one. But first, his body had to betray him. At 9 years old, Lionel stopped growing. At first, his family was not worried. Neither parent was tall. It could be in the blood. But by the age of around 11, the truth could no longer hide. He took the long bus ride to a clinic in Rosario. The doctor's name was Diego Schwarstein. The boy answered questions. He gave his blood. He waited. Then he heard the verdict. Growth hormone deficiency, a rare condition, treatable but expensive. $900 to $1,000 per month. Every night, Lionel would have to push a needle into his own thigh. Can you imagine? An 11-year-old boy, alone in his bedroom. He sits on the edge of the bed. He holds the needle. He looks at his own leg. And he pushes. Every night. For years. And perhaps that is where the machine truly began. Not on a football field, but in a quiet bedroom, with a small boy and a needle. Learning that the gift inside him would cost him something. Every single night. Newell's old boys promised to help. Then they disappeared. River Plate, the biggest club in Argentina, looked at the cost. They walked away. The first doors had started to close. For 2 long years, the boy injected himself in silence. His family tried everything. Then, in the year 2000, a phone call came from across the ocean. The call came from Spain. FC Barcelona wanted to see him. The trial in Barcelona lasted only a few minutes. The sporting director was a man named Carles Reixac. He watched the small boy move with the ball. He turned to his assistant. He said 2 words. "Sign him." But the Barcelona board hesitated. The boy was too small, too sick, too risky. Weeks passed. The Messi family waited in a hotel in Spain. Jorge threatened to take his son home. So, on the 14th of December 2000, something strange happened. Reixac met Jorge for lunch at a tennis club. There was no contract on the table, so Reixac turned to the waiter. He asked for whatever could be written on. The waiter came back with a paper napkin. Reixac took out a blue pen. He wrote a few short lines. He signed his name. The most important signing in football history was done on a paper napkin, the kind you use to wipe your mouth. And perhaps that is one of the small mysteries of life. The biggest moments often look the smallest when they happen. A paper napkin, a blue pen, a few short lines, and a future opening quietly in front of a 13-year-old boy. Barcelona agreed to pay for the boy's treatment. The Messi family moved across the ocean. The boy with the closed-door verdict walked through an open door instead. The machine was being built. The first goal arrived 5 years later. It was the 1st of May, 2005, at Camp Nou Stadium. Lionel was 17 years and 10 months old. He came on as a substitute. The opponent was a team called Albacete. A few minutes later, a Brazilian magician named Ronaldinho stepped up. He lifted a soft pass over the defense. Lionel did not even break stride. He chipped the ball over the goalkeeper with his left foot. Goal! Ronaldinho was the biggest star in world football at that moment. He lifted the 17-year-old onto his shoulders. He ran around the pitch with him. The crowd at Camp Nou stood up and roared. They did not yet know what they were cheering for. How could they? Even now, watching that old video, there is something moving about it. A 17-year-old boy on the shoulders of his hero. The first goal of more than 900 that would follow. Neither of them knew. Neither of them could have known. That was goal number 1. There would be hundreds more. What followed over the next decade is something no one would believe, not even in fiction. In 2006, Lionel won La Liga and the Champions League with Barcelona. He was 18 years old. In 2008, a great coach named Pep Guardiola took over. Guardiola built his entire philosophy around one player, around one foot, around one left foot, to be exact. The football they played was called tiki-taka. It was the most beautiful football the world had seen in 50 years, and it was built brick by brick around Lionel. Then came the year that should have been impossible. In 2009, Guardiola's first season, Barcelona did something no team had ever done. They won every trophy available to them. 6 trophies in a single year. 6 trophies in 12 months by a club whose entire football was built around one small left foot. At the end of that year, Lionel won his first Ballon d'Or, the award for the best footballer in the world. In 2010, he won it again. In 2011, again. In 2012, again. 4 in a row. A record no player had ever held. But here is the strange part, my friend. Remember the boy from the clinic? The boy who might never grow tall enough to play professional football. He was now the best footballer in the world. 4 years in a row. The verdict from Rosario was being answered, one trophy at a time. Yet the most impossible thing was still to come. In that same year of 2012, Lionel scored 91 goals in a single calendar year. 91. Stop for a moment, my friend, and let that number sit with you. 91 times in 12 months. One man stepped onto a green field, and he put a ball into the back of a net. Pele in his prime never came close. Neither had Maradona. Neither had Cristiano Ronaldo. The previous record had stood for 40 years. It was held by a German striker named Gerd Müller. He scored 85 goals in 1972. Lionel did not just break the record. He demolished it. The machine had started. Still, the machine could not be stopped. There is one goal from those years that has become legend. It happened in May of 2015, a Champions League semi-final against Bayern Munich. The defender was Jerome Boateng. He was a World Cup winner. He was one of the best defenders in the world. He stepped up to defend Lionel one-on-one. Lionel took the ball. He faked one way, then the other. Boateng tried to follow. His legs tangled. He fell to the grass. Millions watched on television. Lionel did not even look down at him. He chipped the ball over the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper was Manuel Neuer, another World Cup winner. Goal. 5 seconds, 13 steps, 5 touches of the ball. 2 world champions made to look like beginners. His teammate Andres Iniesta said it best in a single sentence: Messi leaves us speechless. But here is the strange thing about Lionel Messi. He did not celebrate goals like other players. He did not roar. He did not pull off his shirt. He scored, then he turned. He walked back to the center circle, as if scoring was the most ordinary thing in the world. Because for him, it was. In just a moment, you will hear about the night the gift broke, about a ball that sailed over a crossbar in New Jersey, about a man who cried on the grass and said he was done. But this is not where the story ends. Every machine has a breaking point. For Lionel, that breaking point came on a single night, the 26th of June, 2016. The place was the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. Argentina was playing Chile, the final of the Copa America. This was the 4th major final Lionel had played for his country. He had lost the first 3. The World Cup of 2014, the Copa America of 2015, and now this. The match ended scoreless, penalty shootout. Lionel walked up to take the first kick for Argentina. He had taken thousands of penalties in his career. He almost never missed. But on this night, in front of 80,000 people, something gave way. The greatest goal scorer in football history pulled his foot back. He struck the ball, and he watched it sail high over the crossbar. The ball disappeared into the dark above the stadium. Argentina lost. Lionel sat down on the grass. His shoulders shook. The cameras zoomed in on his face. He was crying. Sometimes when I think about this moment, I wonder, what was going through his mind? The greatest goal scorer in football history, and the one ball he most wanted to score, he could not. Some doors, it seems, do not open even for the chosen. In the locker room, he told the journalists what he had decided. For me, the national team is over. I have done everything I could. 4 finals, and I could not win. He retired from Argentina. He was 29 years old. The machine of goals had finally found something he could not score. He had found the limit of his own gift. The limit broke his heart. What happened next? No one expected. The whole of Argentina panicked. The president of the country called and begged Lionel to reconsider. On national television, a small boy cried. He pleaded with him to come back. Diego Maradona, the old king, spoke out in public. Newspapers filled their front pages with one word: come back. 6 weeks later, Lionel reversed his decision. He came back. Not because he believed he would win, but because he could not leave his country behind. The years that followed offered no reward. Argentina lost again and again. Then, on the 25th of November 2020, something shifted. The god of Argentine football died. Diego Maradona was 60 years old. The country went into 3 days of mourning. Some people in Argentina said something strange about that moment. They almost felt embarrassed to admit it. They said when Maradona died, a weight lifted from the team. The shadow they had played under was finally gone. They no longer had to be Maradona. They could just be themselves. 8 months later, the truth of that thought was proven. In July of 2021, Argentina reached the final of the Copa America. The match was held in Brazil. The opponent was Brazil itself. In the 22nd minute, Angel Di Maria scored. Argentina won. Brazil, nothing. That single goal held until the final whistle. When the referee blew, Lionel dropped to his knees. He wept on the grass. After 15 years of wearing the Argentina shirt, after 28 years of his nation waiting, the machine had finally scored the one goal that mattered to his country. Or so he thought. Less than a month later, the worst day of his career arrived. On the 8th of August, 2021, Lionel sat down at a press conference. The room was at Camp Nou Stadium. The cameras were on. He was 34 years old. He had spent 21 years at FC Barcelona. He had become one of the greatest players in history, the history of the game. And he was about to be told to leave. Barcelona had collapsed financially. They could no longer pay him. Lionel had offered to take a 50% pay cut to stay. The Spanish league refused to approve the contract. There was nothing more to be done. He sat down. He looked at the microphone. He tried to speak. The tears came before the words did. He cried before he could begin. His wife handed him a tissue. The cameras held on his face. For a long moment, the room was silent. Only his quiet breathing. When he finally found his voice, he said this: "I was not prepared for this. I gave everything from the first day to the last. I never imagined saying goodbye." The greatest goal scorer in his club's history had been pushed out. He had arrived in Barcelona as a 13-year-old boy with a needle in his thigh. He was leaving as a 34-year-old man. 21 years. 2 decades of one man's life given to one club, one city, one shirt. It ended in a press conference, in tears, with a tissue handed to him by his wife. He moved to Paris. He played 2 seasons for Paris Saint-Germain. But Paris was not home. Paris was a hotel. The machine kept scoring, but the machine was hurting. And then came Qatar. The World Cup of 2022 was supposed to be his last. He was 35 years old. His body was no longer what it had been. His legs were no longer what they had been. But his mind was the same. The brain that had read football fields for 30 years. Argentina's first match was a disaster. They lost to Saudi Arabia. The whole country fell into shock. The dream was over before it had begun. Then something extraordinary happened. Argentina won every match after that. They beat Mexico. They beat Poland. They beat Australia. They beat the Netherlands in a tense penalty shootout. They beat Croatia in the semi-final. On the 18th of December, 2022, Argentina walked out onto the field, the final of the World Cup. The stadium was called Lusail. The opponent was France, the defending champions. They had a young phenomenon named Kylian Mbappé. He was 23 years old. Many already saw him as Lionel's successor. What followed has been called the greatest final ever played. Lionel scored from the penalty spot in the first half. Di Maria added a second. After 80 minutes, Argentina led 2-0. France looked broken. Then, in 97 seconds of football, Mbappé scored twice, 2-2. Extra time. Lionel scored again, 3-2. Argentina was minutes away from glory. Then, Mbappé scored a third, 3-3. Penalties. Lionel walked up to take the first kick. The eyes of 4 billion people were on him. He had missed a penalty in another final, 6 years earlier, on a different continent. He pulled his foot back. He struck. The ball flew into the net. France missed 2 of their kicks. Argentina won 4-2. The Lusail Stadium erupted. Lionel dropped to his knees. He looked up at the sky. He held his arms out wide. He cried. Can you imagine, my friend? After 15 years of waiting, after 4 lost finals, after the ball that sailed over the bar in New Jersey, now, finally, the sky. 36 years had passed since Maradona had lifted that trophy in 1986. Exactly 1 generation. And now, on a December night in Qatar, the boy from the clinic lifted the golden cup. He held it above his head. He kissed it. He held it. He would not let it go. The machine had scored the 1 goal it had been built for. Or so he thought. 3 months later, the bullets arrived. On the night of the 2nd of March 2023, 2 men arrived. They came on a motorbike. They stopped outside a supermarket in Rosario. The shop belonged to the family of his wife. the men fired 14 shots into the front door. No one was hurt. The shop was closed. But before they left, the gunmen wrote a message on a piece of cardboard. They dropped it on the ground. The message said, "Messi, we are waiting for you." Rosario, the home of Lionel Messi, had become a violent city, one of the most violent in Argentina. Drug cartels controlled whole neighborhoods. The year before, the city had recorded 287 murders. And now, just months after Lionel had brought the World Cup home, his own hometown was sending him a message, written in gunfire. He did not respond in public. He did not visit Rosario for a long time after that. The man who had given his country its greatest joy had been told something terrible. His country, in some hidden corner, would not keep him safe. He had been condemned at 11, pushed out of his home at 34, and now, at 35, shot at by his own hometown. Still, the machine kept scoring. In the summer of 2023, Lionel moved to a new country, a country that had never really cared about football. He signed with Inter Miami in the United States. Many people thought it was a kind of retirement, the greatest player in the world, gone to America to enjoy his final years, in a league below his level. They were wrong. He won the MLS Cup with Inter Miami. He won the league's Most Valuable Player award 2 seasons in a row, the first player ever to do it. Then, on the 18th of March 2026, a number appeared next to his name. A number only one other man in football history had ever reached. 900. Stop for a moment, my friend. Think about what that number means. 900 times in one career. The small boy from Rosario stood on a green field. He kicked a ball, and he watched it cross a line into a net. 900 times. It happened in a CONCACAF Champions Cup match against Nashville. In the 7th minute, Lionel received a low cross. He shifted onto his left foot. He slipped the ball through a defender's legs and past the goalkeeper. His 900th career goal. He joined his old rival, Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo had passed the mark 18 months earlier. 2 men, 900 goals. 2 completely different careers, both finishing the same impossible sentence. When Lionel scored goal number 900, he did not roar. He did not run to the cameras. He did what he had always done. He turned. He walked back to the center circle. The most ordinary thing in the world. And now, in the summer of 2026, the story arrives. One more chapter. The FIFA World Cup is being held in 3 countries: the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Lionel Messi is 39 years old. This is his 6th World Cup, a record he shares with only one other man. He does not need this tournament. He has already won everything. There is nothing left to prove, nothing left to chase, nothing left to win. And yet, here he is, the machine built in the dust of Rosario. It does not know how to stop. It was not designed to retire. It was designed to score. As long as there is a ball and a goal and a piece of grass to run on, the machine will keep going. How this story ends, no one yet knows. Maybe he lifts another trophy. Maybe he walks off the field one quiet evening and never returns. Maybe his last goal will arrive, without any of us realizing it is the last. But that is the way of all great stories. They do not end. They simply walk off into the distance and leave us standing on the grass, looking after them. We have come a long way tonight, my friend. We started in a small clinic in Rosario, with a boy whose feet did not touch the floor. We traveled through paper napkins and Camp Nou roars, through 91 goals in a single year, through a ball that sailed over a crossbar in New Jersey, through tears at a press conference, and tears on the grass at Lusail. And now we stand in the summer of 2026, watching a 39-year-old man chase a ball one more time. The story of Lionel Messi is not really a story about football. It is a story about something older, about the gift inside a person, and what happens when the world keeps closing doors in front of it. Writers have called Messi a machine, but I think the word is wrong. A machine cannot cry on the grass. A machine cannot kiss a trophy as if it were a child. A machine cannot carry a country on its back for 15 years and still keep walking. What Lionel Messi has is not a machine. It is a gift. The gift is older than the verdicts. And you, my friend, maybe you are listening to this story tonight, thinking about something inside you, too. Something small. Something the world keeps telling you is too late, too unlikely, too much. Maybe a verdict has already been read to you in some clinic of your own. Maybe a door has been closed in your face. Maybe a hometown has turned away. But here is what the story of Lionel Messi reminds us. Sometimes the thing inside you is older than the doors. Sometimes it was placed there before you were born, and no force on this earth can take it back. You were not given that gift by accident. All you have to do is one thing. Keep going, one step at a time, until the very last whistle. Thank you for walking through this story with me tonight, my friend. If this story moved you, please leave a comment below. Tell me what surprised you about Messi. Tell me what part of his life stayed with you. And next time, we travel to a story of another kind. A small object that fits in the palm of your hand. It has crossed oceans. It has started wars. And it has quietly changed how the world keeps time. Listen for its quiet ticking. It has been counting for centuries.